My name is Charles Pugh, and I was born and raised in Detroit, in fact, right up the street on Trumbull near Wayne State University. I moved away from home once I graduated from high school, went off to college, started working in my chosen profession, which was broadcast journalism, and I worked around the country in Missouri, in Kansas, in Indiana, and Virginia, and finally making it back home to Detroit, a dream come true. And I worked on Fox 2 as a reporter and anchor for 10 years. And the last 5 years I worked on WJLB, which was another dream. After having grown up listening to Mason in the morning, that was a dream of mine to be on the same radio station. So for the last 5 years, I actually worked 7 days a week, because I worked at the radio station Sunday through Friday. It was really Monday through Friday, but I also had a Sunday evening talk show. And then I worked at the TV station Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But I did it because I thought that the urban radio audience needed a voice of someone who would bring a different flavor, would raise the level of the discussion to issues that Detroiters should have been thinking about on their way to work, on their way to take their kids to school. And so I was committed to that, and also giving a more positive view of Detroit schools and all things Detroit. But at some point I got frustrated with reporting on what our problems are and not really being able to be a part of the solution. As a journalist, you're not supposed to be an activist. That's discouraged, in fact. And so that's not the kind of journalism that we encourage for television. The black media is different, particularly newspaper. You can do issue-oriented, you can do a 150-page issue if you want, or a one-page issue. But for television news, there are restrictions on what you're encouraged to be involved in. So if you want to keep your job, then you do your job. But for the activism that I want to do, it doesn't go hand in hand with journalism. Because with journalism, you're supposed to keep your opinion out of it. And so this is not the time for neutrality in our city. This is the time for people who are going to stand up and speak out on issues, but also come up with common sense, practical ways to get them done. So I can't do that as a journalist. So I decided to set journalism aside and set the neutrality and the unopinionated delivery of the facts. That's not what Detroit needs right now from somebody who's young and hungry to make Detroit's future happen. So that's why I'm running. I'm not leaving Detroit. I'm going to be here. So I would like to be a part of the solutions. I'd like to be a part of fixing our fiscal problem, our budget problem, our structural deficit. We need some creative ideas to consolidate departments and to undo some of the things that we do as a city. But also thinking about the future. How do we re-engage our city? How do we retool our image? How do we attract new industry to our city? How do we reduce crime? So this is something that I'm really committed to and that I want to be a part of, and I think I'm uniquely suited to do it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. In my neighborhood, it was mostly single moms. It was low-income housing, which is why we moved there, because that's what we can afford. And we had issues of drugs, crime. My neighbor was murdered inside of my high school, Chester Jackson. That was in April of 1987. One of the worst days of my life. when the principal gets on the PA and says, close and lock your doors and turn off the lights and get away from the door, and then you hear gunshots off in the distance, that's not fun. And then to know that your friend and neighbor was murdered inside of your school, and that 2 of your other friends were shot, that doesn't make you feel very safe about coming back to school. So I understand. I've had 3 of my cousins murdered, and my own mother was murdered. So I know the pain that a lot of families feel with the rampant violence and crime in our city. But the neighborhood I grew up in was a small, closely knit. We were all poor. I was raised by my grandmother on her Social Security check. So we got paid on the 3rd of every month, and that was it. We didn't have a lot of money. We had a lot of love. But certainly crime, the importance of having public transportation. We took the bus everywhere. And so, I don't need a town hall meeting to tell me that ending bus service on Sunday is bad. I didn't need to hear that. I know that there are people that the bus is their sole source of transportation. So as a city legislator and one of the leaders of the city, I would already have firsthand knowledge that, and I understand that the bus service is a huge drain on the general fund. But we need to work harder at looking for creative ways. First of all, we need to merge DDOT with SMART, and a spirit of regional cooperation will fix that. But you didn't ask that. For me is, I really do think that crime is not a police problem. And I think crime is a people problem, but also is a neighborhood problem. And I think if you look at neighborhoods that are strong, and look at neighborhoods who work together to reduce the opportunity for crime, those are the safe neighborhoods. An involved and engaged citizenry is where crime is lower than it is in other places. Neighborhoods that can afford their own private security clearly have an advantage over those who can't afford that. Most communities can't afford to band together and do that. So what does that mean? It means that some of us need to patrol our own neighborhoods, and we need to divide that amongst the people who live there who have an hour to spare. But we need to be committed to that. We have a best practice every year we call Angels Night Weekend. It's coming up here at the end of October. But we don't do it again until next October. That's wasted opportunity. Some city leader needs to spearhead community take-backs every month, and that's going to be me. And it's going to be easy to organize because people are thirsty for a level of engagement that they just haven't been asked to participate in. People are hungry to do more to take back our neighborhoods and to be better organized and to engage our young people, to engage our retired citizens, to engage our families, our churches, some of whom are in our neighborhoods but really don't do much other than worship on Sunday and that's it. And it really would be nice to see so many of the churches we have. We have lots of churches, and you have ready-made groups who could be of service to the communities around those churches. And I guess just that there's some of the churches have not been asked to more fully participate. So I think that would be a good start, a more organized community activism that I think would have residual impact.